Yesterday, I told you that I would watch the Democrat debates last night to report to you. And truth be told, I just watched segments of it because I really couldn't take all of it. But I want to share with you 6 observations, top one being the best, and I just love it. On CNN, Van Jones, the radically leftist, in fact, some call communist commentator, his takeaway summarized the entire evening of the Democrat debate, which was, he said, no candidate on that Democrat stage could take out Donald Trump. That was his, and that I think he's exactly right. He watched the debate last night, watched all 6 of them, and just said, none of these people could take him out. He said they need to do better than what we saw tonight. So, with that, I have 5 other observations I want to make in today's first 5. First, I want to ask Matt, the very wonderful producer, to please put up that one picture I sent you of the Democrat debate stage. You can see who these characters are in case you didn't watch it. These are the people, these are not all the people still in the race for the Democrat nomination for president. They are the 6 who made the Democrat Party's criteria in order to be on stage. They met the criteria in terms of number of individual donors and polling sufficiently in designated polls to show they had some support. Tom Steyer on your far left, and then Senator Elizabeth Warren, former Vice President Joe Biden. Everyone knows our middle guy, Bernie Sanders. Next person to him is Mayor Buttigieg. And finally, Senator Amy Klobuchar. Okay, so enough of them. That was their pictures. I want you to see who they are. I'm going to tell you my 5 points to make. Number one, beside Van Jones' comment on the CNN afterward about none of these folks could beat Donald Trump, there were some great pieces on Babylon Bee. Babylon Bee, to be clear, is a spoof site. It is not reporting news, but it is among the funniest spoof sites you have ever seen. And they had one headline on Babylon Bee essentially saying, gang of thieves reveals how they plan to steal your money. And it was very funny. In fact, I found these so funny that today on our website, americacanwetalk.org, on the homepage, under the caption across the top shows, drop down list of links, I put a link to a couple of their articles because they were actually very, very entertaining. Another one related to Elizabeth Warren, and that was a caption. That article was called Elizabeth Warren Announces Her Presidency Will Include Free Year of Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu. But on a more serious note, all you really saw on the Democrat debate stage was a competition among those 6 to talk about all the things they would provide for free for America and how all of it was actually easily affordable by simply taxing the rich. And you heard a lot of talk about the idea that all of their harebrained ideas would actually create more jobs. Just silliness. Another point related to last night's program, it just matters a lot to understand. We are very close to the first primary, very close to the Iowa caucus, first primary of the year for the Democrats. It's coming up in early February, February 3rd, I think it is. And these people, they actually have the Democrat convention coming up in July. So we are done talking about the elections are far up. That lineup you saw, those people are the best, at least those who've jumped in so far have to offer the Democrat voters. Big issue last night was the ongoing tension between Senator Elizabeth Warren, and who is obviously the Massachusetts senator, former Native American. Now she has retired from that position, but she is running. She's a socialist just as much as Bernie Sanders. She's just a tad smarter and doesn't call herself that. A lot of tension between the two because in a meeting in December 2018, Elizabeth Warren claims that Bernie Sanders said to her that they met to kind of talk about it because they've been friends in the Senate and they're both going to be running and they want to be friends, blah, blah. So in December 2018, they met to talk about it. And she says Bernie Sanders told her that she or a woman could never win. He says he didn't say that. He was just commenting that it's harder for a woman. Anyway, there's a lot of tension about the women's vote. And it's really interesting because Elizabeth Warren, this conversation happened in December, allegedly happened in December of 2018. And here we are in January 2020, less than a month away from the first caucus. And this is the first time Elizabeth Warren chose to bring out this story and to make public hay about it. Of course, she's desperate. She's plummeting in the Democrat polls. She needs a way to attack Sanders. And naturally, when you're a Democrat, you go for identity politics as the reason to attack. Next point I wanted to make about this event last night, there were actually many unhappy Democrats around this country I'm not talking about the ones on the debate stage. Probably many Americans unhappy having to look at their choices, but there were also people who were lamenting the fact that, at least as of this debate, these 6 candidates who qualified, meeting the neutral standards set up by the DNC, all happened to be white. There was a lot of lamenting by CNN, Cory Booker, Van Jones, Julian Castro, other Democrats complaining that this stage doesn't look like America. But you have to stop and think about what they're saying. This is the Democrat Party that nominated and then elected Barack Obama twice. Normally, the left is criticizing conservatives or America broadly, or Republicans claiming that they're racist and there's insufficient representation of racial minorities. But these people complaining are criticizing their own voting base. It's the Democrat voting base who is making possible the appearance on stage last night of each of those people. So they're criticizing their own Democrat base that actually gave us the first Black president, Barack Obama, who now criticizing that same base, saying essentially, you're not allowed to make choices that we don't like, that doesn't meet our racial criteria. But that leads me to my final point in today's first 5. Beyond the reality that most of the plans these Democrats have come up with are patently absurd, unaffordable, silly level promises of a free pony for every 5-year-old girl at Christmas and free everything for everybody, and we'll take away all your debt and we'll make everything free. Beyond the absurdity of their relentless accusation and demeaning of America as a country, demeaning of business, demeaning of the individuals in this country who've been successful, demeaning of the status of race relations in this country, the constant harping and criticism and angry depiction of America, beyond all of that, which turns off the most American voters. I think the reason that there's just no enthusiasm for any of those folks in this Democrat presidential primary is because none of them give America any vision. They don't stand for something. They don't say, they don't acknowledge America's unique greatness and goodness. They don't want to stand up and say America's good and that our country's good and our free market system is good and our country as a country rooted in human liberty. They can't find anything good or visionary to say, anything good about America or visionary about their plans for America. So they just stand on stage and insult the broadly speaking, all of America. So what's going to happen? The Democrat convention comes up in July in Milwaukee, and you're going to have, in my guess, at this time at least, you will not have a clear winner. The convention, in every convention, has delegates. People show up and they're pledged to vote for whoever won their state. States have different rules, but there's probably not going to be a winner in the first go around, the first vote at the Democrat National Convention in Milwaukee in July. So that opens up room for the billionaire Democrats to step in and say, hey, wait a minute, because once they have their first floor vote, they don't get a majority. There is the opportunity at some point for candidates to begin to lure other delegates to their team. For one candidate to try to lure another candidate, one candidate to say, you need to drop your allegiance to Amy Klobuchar and come with me. Well, the candidate in the best position to do that, Michael Bloomberg, who isn't on the debate stage because he isn't taking donations, because he doesn't need to. Michael Bloomberg, being worth $58.4 B as in boy billion, has spent over $200 million already. I think he thinks he can buy that nomination. That's where he's headed. So that's Bloomberg. And I also think there is a wide swath of Democrats in their party who recognize that Bernie Sanders will be a disaster as their candidate. America's not going to vote for a socialist, and they're hoping somehow to make way for, dare I say her name, Hillary Clinton, to emerge, to solve the brokered convention, and to be the Democrat candidate for the President of the United States of America. And that, my friends, is today's First Five.